Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake, and I'm here with my good friend Sean Cannell, Rives with the YouTube channel. How are you doing today, Sean?
I'm doing great, Roberto. Always a pleasure to hang out with you.
Absolutely. I just want to dive right into these questions I have for you as one of the most successful channels, I feel, for creative education in the creator economy and all the different things you and the team are doing, not only with content that helps content creators primarily on YouTube, but also with helping them with understanding lighting, tech, camera gear, the bread and butter of Think Media. And I just have to ask, because I know everybody is super interested in this, what is it like to have over 1 million subscribers? I believe you guys are over 2 million now. Like, what's that like, and what changes at that level?
It's super weird. You know, I'm a small town kid, college dropout. I grew up an hour north of Seattle in Arlington, Washington on 6 acres with a bunch of dogs and goats. And I started making videos eventually in my bedroom. So to have 1 million subscribers and that gold play button is just really weird. I mean, it kind of, I have no connections in Hollywood, you know, no connections in traditional media, but I think it just is a picture of the opportunity of the creator economy, that regular everyday people can punch fear in the face and press record and start posting videos. And I hope to stay grounded. I mean, I think I heard it said that, you know, money doesn't change people. It just reveals who they really are. I think that's true with fame as well. I just feel like the same person. I don't know. I mean, it's like I just keep showing up, keep working hard, keep making videos, run into people sometimes at the airport and restaurants, and they're like, hey, and they recognize me. It's strange. But in a lot of ways, of course, I'm humbled and grateful to have that result. But on the flip side, I just keep getting up and doing what I love to do, which is creating. And it sounds weird to say, but in a way, almost nothing's changed. Of course, the comfort of finances and different things like that. But just still on that grind, and still it's about the work, really not about the destination. I try to live that. And so as soon as I hit 1 million, I got up the next day and kept working. So, I mean, it's like, I don't know, you know, it's sort of how it is from my perspective, I guess.
Yeah, get 1 million. It's like, okay, see you at 2 million. Back to work.
And the other day, Nolan goes, man, we got to get that diamond play button. And I'll admit, I didn't even dream that big. I was like, I kind of had settled. I mean, of course, we're still hustling, we're still working, but I was like, bro, preach it, man. You got the vision. Yeah. And so that seems like a Herculean distance away, you know, being at 2 million to go all the way to 10, especially with kind of a niche channel. But man, I think there is something about I have heard that as soon as you reach a goal or a dream, it is important to get another one, because if you don't, depression can set in, distraction could set in, maybe even some toxic behaviors. I do think we were built to constantly set goals. Yes, we need to pause, celebrate. Yes, we need to take a break, I think, and I'll do all of those things. But God wove greatness into our DNA. So I'll admit I did not set the same goal that Nolan had, but I think that also speaks to iron sharpens iron and being around other people that cause you to dream bigger. Because as soon as he said it, unlocked something in me. I was like, that's right, bro. Come on, let's go.
I can see y'all hitting 10 million, because I think that what you have is bigger than a YouTube help channel. I'm trying to be more than that as well. I always, you know, my goal is never to be in a YouTube help channel. I don't really think that was your goal either. I think we just like and love creative people so much, and we want to help them. We know that YouTube is the best platform to do that right now. So I think that's part of it. But I see y'all getting to 10 million at some point, because I think y'all have one of the best channels around consumer tech products at every level, and people are making creativity and creating part of their everyday lives. I see more and more people doing it, not just with YouTube, but with photography and video, and live streaming is now part of our lives. So streaming and conferencing, podcasting. So there will be a demand for what you guys have been doing with what I think is the core of Think Media, which is really helping people to create. And I know the foundation of that is the tools of your trade are a big part of that. So I see that mission. I see that vision for y'all. I see y'all getting to 10 million at some point. I think you have everything you need, and I think the vision's big enough. Me, I'm going to probably settle at 1 million. But I have another question for you. Speaking of the team, you and your team publish a video every day on the main Think Media channel, and I hear you publish 100 videos a month across platforms. Can you tell us a little bit about more of what that looks like behind the scenes and what that really takes to accomplish, because that's a massive undertaking.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's super overwhelming, and it's there's a great book for every business leader, aspiring entrepreneur, CEO should read, and it's called Good to Great, classic book. And it talks about the flywheel effect, which is just this idea of you're pushing the day-to-day routines and habits around, right? You get up as a solo creator, you get up, you come up with that idea, you shoot that idea, you edit it, you upload, you start getting a little bit smarter. So you batch produce, you shoot a bunch of videos, edit them all, schedule them. And then you start adding to the team. So you have other team members. So then it's post all the videos, and then there's some sort of maybe a repurposing happening with vertical video. I think the official number is we actually are posting 300 pieces of content a week. So it's absolutely overwhelming. It kind of stresses me out, and I'm at the center of it all. But I also, it really is just modern marketing. And I know both you and I respect Gary Vaynerchuk, and
yes,
he was preaching 67 pieces of content a day. He spoke at our event Growth Video Live, and I asked him about that number, and he said, there's no number. He goes, I just made the number up. It's not 67 or 50 or 40 or 100, but what it is just the opportunity to be omnipresent if you can sustain that with quality. And so I think reverse engineering backwards it was just building one system at a time. I think that's the key to make it sustainable. One system at a time, one hire at a time, one workflow at a time. Today it's Monday.com. It's having the right people in the right places. It's having a pipeline with enough content coming out. And probably most simply, I can't even say it's simple at all. I mean, in some cases it's video podcasting and then cutting clips out of that. In other cases, I am sitting down and recording native vertical batches. My last one, I shot about 30 videos vertically.
That's what I'm working on. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's sometimes doing it that way. If you can go on other shows and whatnot, and then put a podcast, a video podcast like this into the workflow, then that gives you, again, more leverage to just chop it up and put it other places. And so, and then it's, I think the big mindset is after you do have some momentum in your creator business and you have some margin financially, it's having the courage to reinvest those dollars back into more content. And sometimes, whether it was years ago and I didn't necessarily directly see the ROI, although it followed later, or now it's today and we're investing in TikTok, and I'm thinking a couple things. I'm like, okay, link in bio clicks aren't really that significant on TikTok, no matter how many views you get. And we just had a 25 million viewed TikTok. We are getting we just grew like 55,000 followers. But on the flip side, I'm like, TikTok's going to probably get shut down, depending on where elections go. So I'm like, this is still entrepreneurship spelled RISK. It's still taking a risk. It's investing in. We have somebody that's focused just on TikTok. That's a Gen Z editor, and that's basically doing a TikTok a day. And then we repurpose that elsewhere. So it is a little bit of faith. It's a little bit of risk. It definitely is correlating to our bottom line. At other times, I question if it is. There's something about building brand versus just building directly to, if you will, core sales or something else. So
Alex Hormozy talks about that a lot. Yeah.
And so, yeah, we are definitely just making a brand investment for sure. That's a whole lot of content, but we're seeing the impact. I mean, it's not without strategy. It's not without intention. It's a mix of the correlation between investing in our brand today, even if we're not seeing dollars. We are seeing dollars, yeah, but also kind of like digital real estate, and I think that anybody listening, the only thing limiting any of us, which is a huge limit, is simply the ability to keep quality high and the outputs high, because any content, how often should you post on any of these platforms? Literally as much as possible, like as much as you could. Of course, there's kind of a cap, but yeah, you should post 1, 2, 3, 4 TikToks a day. The question is, how do you sustain that without going crazy, losing your mind, losing your mental health?
That is the question.
Yeah, and it's team and systems. Simply put, it is absolutely team and systems at this point. I think media is going through some changes, but we're about 20 people. That's W-2 employees. There's your answer.
Wow.
The reason we're able to sustain it is team. And that could break down as well. Systems is the other key to keep those 20 people organized.
How many of the 20 are on the content team versus the back end of the business?
So content team is like 30%. I mean, you've got creators like Nolan and Omar. You've got our current producer or team director, Kyle, and then we're hiring editors. So then we have 1, 2, 3 editors. And then it blends because we call social media it's not technically the content team. Social media kind of falls under the marketing team, but Brian is overseeing the social posting. And then even we're running into structurally YouTube Shorts kind of falls under Nolan and Kyle, whereas TikTok and Reels and everything else kind of falls under Brian. And they are different. That becomes the other nuance. It's not only the creative, but the to a degree SEO, or at least the title of the YouTube short, like thinking through that. So all
the
that
optimization side, right?
The optimization, and different than TikTok or Instagram Reels. So once you add Brian into the mix, who and then we have like a guy, Evan. Evan's been a killer. We only get him 10 hours a week, and he helps us with editing and is really bright and can chop up either the vertical only or cut out podcast clips. So we have a couple people that are maybe a contract editors. And so the total content team across vertical and horizontal content, I feel like it's about 10 people. That's
what I came up with between including you and Heather Torres. I came up with about 10 people when you named everyone up. So yeah, we came to the same place on that. We mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk earlier, and I brought up Alex Hormozi. You've also done some tremendous interviews with people like Patrick McDavid, who's worth almost $500 million now. He also spoke at Grow with Video Live, and you guys also did a sit down together on your channel as well as Valuetainment. And he's on my list of people I absolutely want to talk to. I want to ask you, how do you get these high-level interviews with these massively busy, massive successful people in terms of these interviews and collaborations? How do you make those connections, and how does that all work out?
Yeah, I think for the ones you mentioned specifically, I think by investing was the first key. So getting Gary Vee and then shooting a podcast with him on stage, simply put, was paying his keynote fee. And even as we approached that, and I was like, okay, I know he's got the new book, 12 and a half. Can we do a book buy? And they were like, he doesn't need it anymore. He's Gary Vee 2022 now in 2023. And so it was stepping up. And that was one of the biggest, for a deeper dive conversation on it. I talked to Chris from the future about Grow with Video Live. What an incredible experience, but also what an incredibly stressful experience. Yeah. We ended up spending almost $1 million on that event. And we made our money back just on ticket sales. But talk about a stressful journey. Talk about
I can imagine that. I imagine Gary's speaker fee is in the 6 figures now.
Yeah, it was 155. It was 150 plus 5K travel at the time, and it went up since then. Immediately after, it went up. So we at the time, I was losing my mind. Like, that's more money than I made my first year of business. But then, I like come back later, and I was like, that was a discount? I got almost half off because supply and demand. It just went up because of his time and his businesses. So Gary, that was
Gary, man,
this is wild. So that was obviously Gary. And then we hired PBD as well to speak. He did negotiate a little bit on his fee. And so I shot that podcast at the end. I think, then I asked him in the future, and he was willing to just do a podcast. So, and I also invested with PBD. At the beginning of the year, he has a really cool an entire day intensive on building out your strategic business plan for an annual business plan, and then also thinking a couple years ahead. And
how much is the investment in that?
I think that was like $1,000 for the VIP ticket.
Oh, done.
And so I got to spend like 17 minutes talking to him on Zoom, and my question and our interaction there, that was before Grow with Video Live. So even me being on his radar, I think those are some principles. Investing with the person, investing in their stuff, valuing their content, then obviously hiring him. Not that had to do with him coming on the podcast or not, but it certainly really put me on his radar because he was now committed to
put you on the radar, built the relationship, built the rapport.
Yep.
Easiest access to FaceTime with someone is pay their fee.
100%. And then the final one was interesting was Alex and Layla at the time spoke for free, which was wild. But they live here in Vegas, so that was an easy one for them to come over through another connection of an agency that they had worked with in the past. the hook for them, and I can't speak to this exact moment, but I definitely know at the time they're in this convergence of massive growth, their YouTube channel growing. The hook for them was just getting the content, being on stage, and having more content.
Yes.
And I was able to ask Alex to speak meta to his content, like, because he'd always been speaking about $100 million offer and sales and all this other stuff. He hadn't really had a platform to speak about, dude, how did you grow your content platforms and all this stuff so rapidly? So that was a pretty wild one. So that's how they all kind of came together. Heather recently had Layla on the on our Think Media podcast. That episode comes out in the next 60 days or something, and she just drove over in Vegas. Caleb credits me as his mentor, which Caleb is now their main content guy, building their whole team. Caleb Ralston. There's some great interviews out with him. He worked for Gary. He was kind of a second D-Rock. So there's
heard things of it. I'm familiar with Caleb. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. In fact, a guy you should definitely connect with. I think he's as a content strategist. A lot of cool things. You guys have a lot of good synergy. So some of those things. It just goes back. I mean, there's maybe lots of principles in there, but whether it's stepping up and investing, whether it's just as you build up relationship and over the years. I mean, I've known Caleb now for like 20 plus years, and now he happens to be working for Alex and Layla and work for, and so like there's different bridges of relationship. That reminds me of a proverb that, a good reputation is more valuable than like silver and gold. And so I think also just slow and steady, getting to know people, always adding value, always giving first. And then when you maybe ask, hey, PBD, can I do a podcast with you? I'm going to be in Miami. He's like, yeah, I can give you, an hour and I'll come to you. And so through lots of different touch points and just building your reputation up over the years, I think some of these opportunities can happen.
100% agree. And that's been my experience as well. And the people that I've worked with. Actually, if you can connect me and Caleb, I'd love to talk with him and do a call like this. And even just spend some time with him, just shooting the breeze and like just talking shop, because I'd really love to get into his mind, because like what he's been able to do is phenomenal.
Yeah, he's a genius. And I mean, it's scary the level that Alex and Layla are going to, but they're understanding that it's leverage. It's team systems. How much, how many outputs can we do? I guess when Alex talked to Grant Cardone, the takeaway was Grant was like, hey, look at my social media and look at yours. I post 10 times more than you. And that like is not a big aha moment, but Alex was like, that was the aha moment for me. It was literally like, no, you actually just have 10 times the outputs as me. So definitely I recently said, I believe that social media and YouTube in 2023 is a team sport.
I agree with that a lot. I think you can get pretty far as a marathon runner, but there's a limit to that. There's a finite limit to that. You will find your limitations very quickly.
Well, and you have to. I mean, that would be a discouraging statement for someone, but you can't start with a team. I agree. No, you have to start as a solo creator. You got to start focused. You got to kind of break through that wall of monetization, that wall of meeting your bills, going part-time, full-time. Absolutely. But then
you have to kill your ego. But then you have to kill your ego too and let go of, you've built this, you controlled it, you did everything on your own, you have the claim and ownership of your success. You have to be willing to kill your ego and be like, it's we instead of me.
And I'd be probably speaking to more business owners with that term as well, because business owners sometimes they hire a team around other functions of their business, but yet they don't think about their social media necessarily as a team sport. They just rely on themselves. It's reinvesting those dollars into building a media company for you, so you can focus on the core functions of your business.
Agreed. We're talking about a lot of things, and we talked about focus, and we talked about the core function. You added another component to your business. You decided a while back, before I did, you wrote a book. You wrote YouTube Secrets with your friend our friend Benji Travis, and you actually were part of the inspiration for me to write my book, Create Something Awesome, how creators are profiting from their passion, the creator economy. But you've released a second edition to YouTube Secrets. And I'm super curious. I already have it, but I want to ask you, what is it in the new book that you feel like was worthy of the update? Because I felt the book was solid when you released it, but you decided, we need an update. We need new information. what was the motivation behind a second edition of your book?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we're excited. In fact, we just hit like 90,000 copies. We overlaid the original edition on the original Amazon listing. So it was like complex trying to figure that all out. So it's the new edition. We wanted to keep the reviews though, keep that momentum.
That makes sense. So basically updated the cover in Amazon in the back end, updated the PDF file that we have to upload to Amazon, because now that I've gone through this process, I understand.
You got it.
You had to rewrite the description, the internals. So it was an update and a facelift. But you also did an actual, like, not just an amendment or an addendum to the book. It was like, there was like some real meat here.
Yeah,
Can you talk a little bit about that?
It was a complete rewrite. So 90 new pages, 3 new chapters, a couple things completely rewritten. The cool thing was, first, we did want to build a framework that was unbreakable. And that's the 7 C's of YouTube success. Those did not change until we all get sucked up into Ready Player One and in 10, 20 years, and there's no YouTube again. I think those, or YouTube becomes complete VR, AR, whatever. Those 7 C's of YouTube success, I do not believe will change. We did that strategically, whereas the second part was more of the now tactics, now strategies. And so what's new there was, first, the perfect video recipe. It's probably my favorite chapter. That's thinking about how do you trigger the YouTube algorithm in a 2023 world with the big idea, the hook, the content, and the transition. We rewrote social media, and we called it the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I actually believe social media is not just one of your most powerful tools right now. It's also one of your greatest enemies. And when it comes to distraction, the toxic aspects of social media.
The dark side of social media is massively seductive.
It really is. And it also could be very harmful to the YouTube creator. The best way to grow a YouTube channel is with YouTube itself. There's maybe some value of shouting your channel out elsewhere, but it doesn't come close to triggering the algorithm. So even we go through 3 seasons of when should you embrace social media. And then discoverability, that was a big rewrite of just really honing in on the quote unquote ranking factors that matter most and getting your mind around ranking in a 2023 world. And then new YouTube features will be the other new chapter, touching on shorts, of course, YouTube Live, YouTube Stories, Community tab, stickers, different things like that. Quite a bit had happened. The original book came out in 2018, towards the end of the year.
Yep.
And then redid the appendix with all kinds of new links to videos and resources. And then the whole thing was overhauled with a new preface, just related to the most recent stats. And the big idea was like, when we originally wrote the book, we were betting on YouTube, sure that this was going to be a significant thing. We still grossly underestimated how big it was going to be, how dominant it was going to be, and how much opportunity there was going to be on YouTube. I really believe this next decade is going to be the best decade on YouTube. And so we wanted to get the book out with a fresh everything to definitely ride a couple more years on it. To your point, certain things did not need an update, but absolutely now it's completely fresh, completely revitalized. And the reception's been pretty encouraging. It's just kind of, been going really well. And I don't want to speak too soon, but actually right now we're trying to hit a sales goal, a couple sales goals. Shayla on our PR team just told me this, that if we hit certain numbers, we could get distribution in like Target and some other places. So if that doesn't happen, I guess then, oh well. But I'm like, okay, it's time to hustle on some sales.
You could probably get that just by also, if you don't have exclusivity with Amazon, you could get that by just using Ingram Spark. Even I found they have a direct relationship with opting in to expanded distribution with Target, is what I found out.
That's amazing. I'll look into that.
Yeah, I have a question. What is the most valuable takeaway from this updated edition of YouTube Secrets that you really feel is the game changer for anyone who gets it, who read the original even?
I think it's the perfect video recipe. I think when it really comes down to it, it doesn't, yes, you got to set your channel up, and yes, you should spend time brainstorming about who your avatar is and what is your business model, what's your money plan, and you should have good strategy, but nothing happens until you take action, and more specifically, nothing happens until you upload a video. Videos are going to be your assets towards your YouTube goals. And so what I love about the perfect video recipe is a little while back, we subscribed to HelloFresh. And, you know, I'm not a good cook. I don't know how to cook. I love to eat. But we subscribed to HelloFresh, and I realized, okay, they're sending me all the ingredients. They're sending me this recipe card. And if I just follow the recipe, once I pull that chicken out of the oven and once I pull those vegetables off the burner and I eat it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just became Martha Stewart. Like, honey, did you know that I'm Anthony Bourdain? Like, look at, and the reason why is because I followed the recipe. Now, admittedly, I still have left the chicken in the oven a little too long. It's a little bit dry. I'm doing things, and then I'm like, oh, I read it wrong, and I did some things in the wrong order. But as I just keep following the recipe, I find that I get a little bit better each time in the kitchen. So if I keep showing up in the kitchen and I keep following the recipe, then I'm getting stronger and I'm getting towards that result I want. That's why we wanted to create the recipe of the big idea, the hook, the content, and the transition. Because if people just follow the perfect video recipe, and we have 4 ingredients and 10 spices, and the spices are things like, you could do a video straight through, but if you edit, your videos are better. Editing is, especially if you really want to trigger the algorithm, the best YouTube videos are edited to hold retention. If you can include music or comedy or up your communication skills, these are all spices. You could get away without them, and plenty of people have had incredible results. But if you commit to just keep showing up in the kitchen and keep following the recipe, then YouTube success awaits you in the future. So if there's one chapter that I think is just absolutely invaluable, it's the perfect video recipe and just being committed to keep cooking. No one becomes a master chef overnight, but if you don't quit, eventually anybody can cook some pretty delicious dishes. We go pretty deep, all the way into, like, you should understand, you know, a sushi restaurant is not the same as a Mexican restaurant. You have to understand your audience. Yelp speaks to branding. You got to have pictures on there. And your ultimate goal is also not even just getting people to watch one video, but to getting people to subscribe and binge content on your channel, which would be repeat visitors back to your restaurant. So we take the cooking analogy super deep. And I think that'll be really helpful to people that want to check the book out.
No, I love it. And I think that is amazing. And it's wildly practical. It's extremely practical. I definitely have to ask you, as a fellow now self-published author in the creator economy, like, what do you think about the angle and approach I took for my book, Create Something Awesome, How Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion, the Creator Economy? I took a little bit of a different angle instead of being a YouTube focused book. And I really wanted to dig into the behind the scenes, and I decided to brand my series, the Creator Economy Insider Series. What do you think of the approach that I used?
I mean, I think it's brilliant. I don't know if you saw this Future of Creativity study that Adobe did, but it's pretty wild. And they discovered that 165 million people joined their creator economy since 2020. They break down a lot of stuff. It's interesting. They break down that creators actually have better mental health. Consuming too much social media content hurts your mental health. Creating content helps your mental health, and all kinds of other insights about how much creators are earning. So no, I think your book is the right message at the right time. This is a absolutely, real industry, as we know. It is a burgeoning industry, as we know. It is also becoming the critical thing for brands. I saw Vanessa Lau reacting to somebody on her Instagram story, and the guy was talking about how Kylie Cosmetics is worth $1 billion, Kim's clothing line was 3.5, and some like Doritos parent company bought Barstool Sports, essentially saying that, like, if you're not in the content game and the media company game, essentially in the creator economy, you're not even going to be relevant in this next decade. So your book is an essential tool, I would say. And I know that both you and I could probably do face criticism for people saying, okay, but is there really, can anybody do this? Or is it too saturated, or all this stuff? And I honestly believe saturation's a myth. People just don't understand how much consumption is rising, how many people want to watch great content, but also how critical macro and, more importantly, micro influencers, what you talk about all the time, the middle class of content creators, if they position themselves right in the right niche, how so many niche brands, niche subscription products, niche direct-to-consumer DTC brands and consumer packaged goods brands are going to want to be working with small micro influencers, their show, their podcast, their thing in very particular areas. So I think people can be on the cynical side. They can see negative. They can amplify the competition in their own mind. But then there's going to be a few smart people that read your book and then just double down and find their niche market, find their unique angle, and build a practical living in the creator economy. So no, I think I'm super excited. You've obviously pioneered a path in so many different ways, and created so many different income streams. So you're qualified to teach and help people make this a real living for themselves. And your book hitting right now is pretty incredible, because over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it's going to be an invaluable resource in the creator economy.
That's what I believe, and that's also even what made me decide that I'm writing the second book now. We'll see when I publish it, but I'm already several days into writing it. I'm actually like 10,000 words into the second book now, and it's focused more on what it means and what being a full-time content creator looks like. And I'm glad you brought up like the cynicism and the skepticism, because I believe that some of it, I understand where it's warranted, but I also think they're not really paying attention to what we're saying or what we're demonstrating, and also what the creator economy middle class looks like. Because when the arguments and the combativeness starts, it's always, well, here's Tommy Innit. I see this even in your like comment section. So here's Tommy Innit, or here's PewDiePie, here's Mr. Beast, or here's this person with 10 million subscribers. Here's Corey Kenshin. Here's like all these people. I'm like, they're already looking at the outliers and using that as an excuse to disqualify themselves from the starting line. You're looking at the most elite like, okay, great. It's like, there's no reason for you to ever pick up a basketball because you're not going to be LeBron James or Kobe Bryant. That's ridiculous. You can still enjoy basketball. Maybe it's not going to be a career for you, but that doesn't mean you can't be somebody that is making six figures in sports athleticism at some point in your life if you care about sports instead of just being famous for picking up a ball. That's a different thing. And I think that some of the cynicism is either looking at the massive 0.1% and then disqualifying yourself. And the weird thing in the creator economy is it's still a bad idea, because most of the people in the 0.1% were nobodies 8 years ago. So you're talking yourself out of a decade of the same discipline, and maybe you don't become them. So what? If you got 1% of their success, it'd be worth it. 1% of their success would be worthwhile. It would be a better life than you currently have. So what's the problem? I look at it from that perspective of, well, what does that have to do with you? But the reality I see, and most people don't see, is they are overlooking middle-class content creators because they're looking at that top, and then they're devaluing the success of that person with 50,000 subscribers that's able to leave their full-time job and make $80,000 a year, doesn't live in New York or California off that 80,000, but does very well for themselves, is able to like bring their family members home, and then in 5 years grow that and get to, 180,000, but has 180,000, has 2 or 3 employees, has more free time than they've ever had at a 9-to-5 job, is putting in maybe 25 hours a week managing their stuff on the back end and living their best life, and their families living their best life. That's the middle class creator economy that I envision for more and more people. That's what I see happening to a lot of our people in our community, a lot of our clients, a lot of the creators who watch us, a lot of the people that we're meeting at Vid Summit and people of video, Grow It Video Live, and social media marketing world. That's the story that I'm being told every single day in our community. And the thing is, every time I hear that story, you're always a part of it. You're always a part of it. It's always somebody in our community that's watching, and you just never know who they're going to be. With that in mind, and you never know who's watching, you have some videos, my friend, that have over 1 million views on your channel. You've had some viral hits, even recently with YouTube Shorts hitting. Have you noticed a pattern? Is there a pattern that you found to million view videos into viral videos?
For me, not really. I will say my biggest insight here is I definitely I'm still a search guy. And for all the hate on search, all I know is we get millions of views from search. We get millions of views from Google. And I know that suggested is bigger. And I know that it is your chance to go more viral. But and I also am grateful that a lot of people threw the baby out with the bathwater. Because that it leaves more opportunity for, long-term evergreen videos that I kind of lean more towards. And so what's interesting is I studied my top 10 videos recently, and there was an interesting trend with them. The first observation was video lengths, the length of the video. So shorts excluded, I should say, although our most viewed video on Think Media is a short. It's hard to see now because of the different tabs. So I'm on most popular on my tab right now. Our 4.4 million views on a sound effects video, that's a 4-minute video. Almost 4 million views on a 15-minute video. Then a video editing software video, 7 minutes. Then 7 minutes, 11, 14, 2 hours and 5 minutes. I think that's an interesting thing we've been noticing is longer. I know Lewis Howes and Evan Carmichael are saying their best performing videos are 2 to 3 hour videos. 5 minutes.
4 hour videos.
Or 4 hour videos. Yeah, just crazy. Yeah. And then 5 minutes and then 30, 39. So I think that, we are for sure an education channel. We skew towards education heavily, if not entirely. And that longer form value-based videos and give them a couple years, that's the common element for my million viewed videos. So I'm not hitting millions in a viral sense where it's just a straight up
outside of shorts
and it was one of to Nolan's credit, his short hit
the cheapest 4K camera,
cheapest 4K camera. That one hit let's see what it's at 8.4 million. And that's our only million viewed short. Now, what's interesting is personally, my most viewed videos are now hitting other platforms, one of which is Facebook Reels, of all places. And what we are finding is we are not editing like vertical content. I don't think we've ever edited, meaning this, we've never changed it. I know that you might make tweaks for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, meaning once we have a vertical video asset, that asset at some point will be uploaded on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels. And what's been interesting is I think it was me reading stats. I was reading stats about how much people read. And I think I got 10 million views on Facebook Reels and, 1 million on TikTok. And so it's been interesting. So as far as YouTube goes, my staple has been high value kind of education, tutorial-based content, give it 1 or 2 years, and it hits 1, 2, 3, 4 million views. And then where I'm seeing my most viral vertical videos not happening on YouTube Shorts. I don't know if it's because of the age of our channel, the subscribers. It also could be the content itself. But TikTok, Facebook Reels, and Reels seem to be pulling a ton more views than YouTube Shorts for me.
Do you know what my theory is on that? So I have a theory on that. I think the theory of YouTube Shorts, from what I've seen with viral videos, is lowest common denominator of psychology. Talk about people, places, things, and events. Lowest common denominator because of YouTube's profiling system for audience avatars. So I think that what scales and goes viral is based around people, places, things, and events, and I've seen it. And it also fits with Nolan's video because his video is a spectacle video, if you think about it, because it's a what's going to happen with this thing that I bought. So it's consumerism scales, and it's also spectacle because there are stakes. It's the Mr. Beast formula wrapped into a YouTube short with something easy to understand because everyone understands what will happen if I use the cheapest blank. And that's an object, that's a thing. So there's the consumerism, there's the thing. And we're like, well, what's going to happen? There's stakes. And it's also short, so there's no barrier to entry there. And cameras are consumer electronics. It's a YouTube platform. We already know camera gear scales in YouTube. So, and you have access to lookalike audiences in shorts for that because of the scale of, say, a Marquez Brownlee or a Sarah Dietschy or a Frono's Photo or a Peter McKinnon. So YouTube already has a avatar profile or a shadow profile for consumption around camera content. So I think that that's the weird thing that YouTube Shorts do is in terms of my theory. And I think the other platforms are just so starved for quality content and you make quality content. I don't think you have competition in the other platforms for the most part for the level of quality content that you do in YouTube. So that's my thesis. That's my theory of that.
One other thing I'll throw out, just a strategy also to just add value to the listener, is I would say as a general rule, we have not had like shockingly impressive outlier results with YouTube Shorts. But what we have had is just like slow and steady wins. In fact, almost feels like Shorts, which at this point we upload basically 5 full-length videos during the week and 2 shorts on the weekend. And that's more or less, that's the rough schedule. And thought and intention and strategy is going into those shorts, but not a ton. Again, they're not really being made. We are selective of, is this on brand? Is it what people subscribe for? We have a bigger pool than what is even being uploaded as a YouTube short because of Reels and TikToks. So we limit it down to like, okay, just 2 a week. What are those going to be? We try to optimize them the best. All of that said, I'm looking at the last 365 days under channel analytics, under content, under shorts. And we've grown on a net, we've grown 24,000 subscribers and gotten almost 8 million views. And if you subtract Nolan's video out of that, that actually leaves about 2 million views, which I would argue are slow and steady. We're talking 10K views, 22K, and like arguably none of them are like, besides Nolan's, none of them have even hit 1 million. What's also interesting is Shorts feed is 77% of the traffic, but even YouTube Shorts search, I should say, YouTube search is 10% of the traffic. So, and they're also growing. Many of them are evergreen topics. To your point, it's not that broad appeal newsjacking, something right now.
Yep.
It's something like 5 simple YouTube video ideas for beginners, or the tips on changing your iPhone video quality, some practical tech tips, searchable, evergreen content. So all that to say is the insight for me is that, I think even as we've discussed internally at Think Media, because of a lack of impressive shorts results, there's been discussions where we've questioned, is this even worth doing? And I go, take a breath. Let's just look at the analytics. I mean, you tell me, is 24,000 new subscribers worth doing? Like, I guess it is.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to look at the math and look at the data, but that's what we've noticed. We're not seeing breakout short success, but we are seeing slow and steady wins with these shorts continuing to compound.
But you also have so much less shorts in your inventory comparable to the back catalog that you built up to now.
True. And,
so even relative to that.
And I would argue, of course, we need the workflow of creating the vertical video content, which is a separate thing that we're doing. But the posting of shorts, I'm also saying that's 24,000 subscribers with arguably almost no new effort. Like, we're already committed to vertical video everywhere else. Let's just be selective of which vertical videos we're posting on shorts. If we take some time to come up with a good title, like, okay, it didn't get 1 million views, but it gave us an upload on the weekend. People are giving us a good positive feedback. And what do we have to lose? Like, there's literally nothing. So, of course, sitting down and maybe being ultra thoughtful about editing a short and how do I crack the algorithm. But I'm saying this is a sustainable pace. It's a sustainable workflow, a sustainable pace. Net, we're seeing the growth. I would, it's all relative depending on the size of your channel or whatever, but it's not like quote unquote impressive. But I think too many people are looking for impressive growth. I don't even want impressive growth.
I agree.
I want slow and steady wins. I want a sustainable.
Incremental is underrated. Incremental is underrated.
Incremental is underrated. I agree. And
that's quotable.
That's what we're experiencing.
No, I agree. With that in mind, I want to ask you, why do you think that search-friendly evergreen content gets a bad rap, and why is that underrated?
I think that maybe because there's a false war being created between education and entertainment. I think that if we're ever going to have a healthy conversation, we need to have a definition of terms and establish what are we even trying to do, and what are our first principles that we're discussing. And those are two big mindsets. I would even argue, if I oversimplify, and our mutual friend Daryl Eves, I would argue that Vid Summit leads more towards entertainment.
I agree.
Mr. Beast, Eric, these are entertainment channels, and they're crushing with, beyond all due respect.
But would they exist without education content to have taught them how to use a camera, how to do their editing software, how to hire an editor, how to do their taxes? Would they exist
That's a good
without
question.
that education?
But also, I think the flip side is it all just comes back down to I think there's questions of sustainability, questions of charisma, questions of what are you trying to build, questions of what is the long-term impact you want to make.
Cost entry is a big one.
All these different things. So then on the education side, I think education naturally leans more search-based because YouTube is still a utility. And if you go back to the letter from Susan, I believe at the beginning of this year.
Yes.
She had a whole section about people going to YouTube to solve a problem, to learn new skills. And so I think it's just about picking which world you want to play in. So sometimes when a debate starts, it'll start saying like, yeah, well, Mr. B says this. And you're like, well, that's totally fine. My question is, what is it you're trying to do? So if you're trying to be an entertainer, you're trying to be an over-the-top personality, and you're trying to kind of just go viral and join the conversation from that place, more power to you. Just know what it is you're trying to build. On the flip side, if you're trying to be an educator, and my argument at Think Media is that I believe it's more practical. I believe, quote unquote, more of anybody can just teach what they know. We see it all the time. It could be a Microsoft Word channel, a Cinema, 4D
anything
channel.
That's your lived experience. Everything that's your lived experience. Even if you're not an expert, I've seen people grow a YouTube channel to 50,000 subscribers, showing what it's like to be an Amazon warehouse worker
all day, every day.
Like
that kind of stuff's happening. And then the other thing is that when you step into education, I believe the monetization I wouldn't even say there's maybe more monetization opportunities, but they're different because, of course, the e-learning industry. If someone, our mutual friends at places like Teachable and Thinkific, their best course sellers all have YouTube channels because it's the intent of the relationship. Someone meets you on YouTube wanting to learn about a thing. I believe Lauren Bateman, who's one of our Video Reiki Academy students, she just hit $1 million in course sales. She's a guitar teacher.
Yep.
It's a linear path. It's like your free guitar information, whatever, people start to like her, and then they find out that she has other programs.
Brand deals are easier. I know creators who've hit $1 million a year in brand deals, even without their own digital product, just with brand deals. And the fact that with education content, you have like infinite SaaS companies, you have hardware, software, you have these scalable things, you have services that will work with you. And it's not even view-based, it's reputation-based. So you don't have to go viral. You don't have to get a certain amount of views every month. If you're in the niche micro market, like you and I talked about, instead of a macro market, it's easy to be that big fish in a small pond, be the best game in town, and broker a 6-figure a year contract with 5 brands and get to $1 million. And we keep seeing it over and over. Underrated though, because you don't have 10 million subs to do that. You don't need 10 million subs to do that.
Yeah, there could be absolutely no fame involved. In fact, that's what we celebrate the most at Think Media is like anonymous, YouTube creators that are highly financially successful, serving a very niche audience.
Millionaires next door
next door type of people. And where people get confused again, as they come back, where people are not having this foundational conversation. So they ask, like, I love affiliate marketing. That was my original vehicle towards financial freedom. And people go, okay, so I'm a daily vlogger. I'm trying to figure out how affiliate marketing works for that. And I'm like, what does it? Like, you would do something else. You need to get really famous, get a brand to sponsor your thing, or get enough ad revenue. It may be kind of good because you go on a health journey with your family and you really give a call to action to the blender you're using. But make sure you pick the right vehicle. Make sure you clarify your entire business model and what is it you're even trying to do. And so all that to say is like both vehicles can be amazing. I think too many people are confused at the foundation. They kind of want to be Mr. Beast, but they follow you and they're like, I don't know how I'm going to create. Why would even someone buy my online course for me giving money away and trying to copy that model and doing pranks? No, they probably won't. That's the thing. So like you just need to pick the vehicle and really get clear on your entire money plan, your business plan. And honestly, again, I think both are incredible opportunities. Self-awareness comes into play, but where I get excited, and I think think the same on this, is to your point, the middle class of in the creator economy, the long tail of financially stable creators. Man, education is the practical vehicle. Yes, of course, you want to up your on-camera skills and stuff, but there's a lot more forgiveness for lower charisma. No need to have that over-the-top personality. No need to have a lot of these ingredients. Where the entertainment side, this is where the challenge, I'm sure you get the same thing. Someone will say, listen, I am a musician, Sean, and I want my album to go viral on Spotify. Tell me how to hack YouTube to make that happen. And I'm like, that's a tough one, because the answer is make music great enough that it's shareable. You can't hack the algorithm on that one. Sure, you could do a cover strategy and some other things to get some awareness. But at the end of the day, Sean, I'm a comedian. What is the video optimization for my comedy videos? Listen, that's an entertainment vehicle. It's going to come eventually. It's going to rest squarely on your talent as a comedian. But Sean, I'm a single mom who successfully raised 4 kids, and I've got some different frameworks and things I've figured out. I want to help other single moms so they don't have the same thing. Okay, you and thousands and tens of thousands of others can do that because someone's not judging you on whether or not your comedy can rise to the top, algorithmic percent. And so education is the more practical vehicle, no question.
I think it's easier and more realistic to qualify for a $100,000 a year income doing something you don't hate than it is to qualify for your dream if your dream requires a tremendous amount of talent, because I don't think that $100K a year requires a tremendous amount of talent. I think that you can accomplish that with a tremendous amount of effort and work in the right direction. And I think that that's actually more accessible in the creator economy than anyone gives it credit for. And I think we've proven that. But I think that what will help is the interviews we're doing with people and their business models that have actually done it, which to that point, I want to ask you a question. What do you think about this? I think that for a working class content creator, the best business model and monetization stream is not YouTube ad revenue, but I think it's something like what you did, affiliate marketing with maybe something like the Amazon influencer program, at least from I know if you go into the right niche, obviously something like tech, beauty, consumer products, whatever, I feel like, hey, you're going to make your first $1,000 much more quickly from that than you are from YouTube ad revenue. What's your thought on that?
Absolutely. And I think it comes back to this, where also like first principles and foundational conversation is we're meeting a lot of people that have this creator mindset. They have this famous YouTuber dream. And that's rather than starting with the mindset of actually being a small business owner and starting a small business and using YouTube as the best vehicle for that. I think that mental pivot can change everything, because when you pivot from even seeing yourself as a YouTube creator, but as an entrepreneur, and you understand that entrepreneurs solve problems for a profit, if you also understand, kind of like Alex Hormozi's talking about lately, you need to sell something. Find an audience that wants to buy something and sell something. Now, stick with me if you're listening, because this is where affiliate marketing comes in. You're asking, what is an audience that wants to buy something, and what can I sell? Then, and this, by the way, where people get stuck is people hate sales. They think that what we're talking about is scammy or pushy or weird, which it's not. But that means you got to deal with your BS, meaning your belief systems. You have to deal with your money mindsets.
Stop hating capitalism. Get over it.
Get over it. Yeah, absolutely. But then, practically what might happen is if you were to start, say, a survival YouTube channel, and this is how you can turn your passion into profit. If you are, and there's many people like this that are survivalist geeks, I love this. Whatever money they can come up with, they invest in tents, water filtration systems, ammo, all this other stuff. Well, so
that's the tools of the trade.
The tools of the trade. Sell something. So then you understand, okay, is there a market that is for survival stuff? Yeah, it's insane. What is the LTV? What's the lifetime value of somebody that is in that? Like off the charts. It could be your go bag, little knives, little hatchets, fog lamps for your car, diesel. There's unlimited things. There's unlimited potential. And then if it's something you're truly passionate about, the difference is you're basically saying, I am going to start like a local survivalist store. But that's not what you're starting. You're starting a YouTube channel. You're making free, valuable content around something you already love doing. And if you just use the vehicle of affiliate marketing, you could build an incredibly lucrative business. Because the interesting thing is you also can upload vlogs, which your audience would be interested in, maybe, and then you could upload top 5 different paracord, whatever, 21 essentials every go bag. You could just have a variety of content. Some of it is highly monetizable, affiliate links. And then, of course, as your channel grows, the brand deal opportunities are unlimited because it could be, again, water filtration. Your audience, if they're heavily into survival stuff, they're probably also into like diversifying your money in gold or silver coins.
Yes.
And so all this comes back down to foundationally sitting down and saying, I want to start a business. Yes, that business is the primary marketing channel and communication channel is YouTube. The potential monetization, I'm not going to even store any products myself. I'm going to do affiliate marketing, and that one vehicle could be all you need to not just build 6 figures, but multiple. But then what's amazing,
the affiliate leads to the brand deals and so on. Yeah.
And then eventually what's happening, like Susan said in the letter that creators are building the next generation of media companies, is just like you and I are discovering, you start with something simple like affiliate marketing where you don't have to house the product yourself. You don't have to ship, return, do any of that stuff. So yes, you make a small percentage, but you can do it at scale and it's easy to sustain as a solo creator. Money starts coming in and you go, you know what? I do have a dream of building my own multi-tool, like Peter McKinnon's coming out with multi-tools and hatchets and all kinds of stuff. So your world really opens up to you when you start with something simple and practical. So I think if you start with business first principle, entrepreneurs solve problems for a profit. People want to start in survival. They don't know what products to buy. They don't know the things they even need. There's always beginners in every industry. There's always medium and advanced people. And so I know you've got a great framework in your book that you teach in nailing your niche. I do agree with you. I think that some people just go, okay, there's 4 channel ideas I have. 1, I just want people to like listen to my thoughts and my opinions, and I want to travel the world and vlog and get paid a lot of money. Okay, that's what else you got? I also am like an avid survivalist, and I've spent thousands of dollars on survival stuff. I love it. I research it. I study it. Okay, that's another one. And then you go down the list. You want to pick the one, maybe just being super famous, which of course, who doesn't want that, is the thing, like you said, do the thing you love. But I love the way you put it, Roberto. Do the thing you don't hate, because maybe you had never really thought like, okay, yeah, I barbecue all the time. I spend endless money on rubs, meat, chicken, smokers. I think about one of our VRA students, Jabin Postal. Again, he's in Canada. He's just got this barbecue channel around what he loves. He's gotten free meat sponsors at different times. He's gotten endless free barbecues and all this kind of stuff. Like all the stuff that's happened. I don't know if barbecue is his thing he loves the most, but he doesn't hate it.
Exactly. And the thing is, it can finance the ability to do the thing you love the most. If you do the thing that you don't hate,
yes,
that has a demand, has a proven audience, that makes money, and you don't suck at it, or you could become very good at it, then you have a pathway to success that gives you a better life than the one you have.
Yes.
A better life than the one you have can finance any dream you have, and then you may not have to sell that dream. You may not have to sell that dream for money. You may be able to do that dream on your own terms and never think about the money. And that's the reasonable thing that I'm trying to pitch and get people to do. But speaking of reasonable things, Sean, because I definitely want to respect your time, I have a personal question that I really want your help with. And sorry, I have a selfish question that I really want your help with. Then I have a personal question about something I know means a lot to you. So let's start with me being super selfish here. I want to go back to doing daily content. And I also want your advice on what am I not doing that I should be doing? And my answer to daily content is get another sponsor, hire a full-time editor, and have them help me do that to where I'm recording and I'm doing almost none of the editing myself unless I want to, and getting a part-time editor for the short-form content and knocking that out. That's my answer to I want to go back to daily. Do you think it's a good idea? Should I be doing it? And also, what am I not doing now that I absolutely should be doing?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. I think that Shalene Johnson gave me some advice, and I would encourage you with it. She said, slow down to speed up. And I think that if you want to go daily, I think it's a good idea. I also think I wouldn't marry a number like that. I think I would shoot for maybe, let's call it like an 80% as like your line of daily. So like,
sure,
it's, you know what I mean? As
like Monday through Friday or something.
Yeah, like don't break the chain but also who cares if you do? So like, that's kind of what we've been doing at Think
I
Media.
love that.
Like, yeah, we're trying to shoot for 5 a week, but like, let's also live life. Like, stuff happens. So if we do 4 a week, at least.
Oh yeah, if we don't,
it's like, yeah, shoot for the stars, you hit the moon. So if you say, okay, the goal is even 5 a week, but if it drops to 3, it's just not that big of a deal. Because on a net, and I think everybody listening, even in that solopreneur season, that's so important. It's like, should I upload every week or twice a week or whatever? I'm like, who cares? Just upload consistently. And actually, it's kind of much more important what happens in a yearly basis. So for you, I might say, okay, I'm looking for an average. Anyways, all that to say is slow down to speed up. Slow down enough because hiring is hard. And to properly evaluate people's portfolios, to also realize that I hope you would hire people with a 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day trial period, letting them know that they have to cross those milestones and they still might not work out. And knowing to trust your gut enough that if at 60 days it's not the right person, what's frustrating.
That was my plan. Yeah. I stole that from Linus Tech Tips. That was my plan too, yeah.
And so that if after 60 days you go, man, I got to go back to the start because this person's just not working out. But that's why you got to slow down to speed up, because if you get the right people in place going slower over the next 3 to 6 months, the level of speed you'll have, that's me being surprised that we do 300 pieces of content a week. I don't even know how it's possible. That is the brick by brick team and systems from over the years to build. So I would recommend doing that. And then I would also, where as possible, do you have an integrator right now, an operator person?
On the coaching business, yes. In the content side, no. So
that would be probably, there's a really good book, and this would be the one for you. You almost don't have to read it because the title explains it, but it is a good book. It's called Who Not How. And
is that Farazi?
It's Benjamin Hardy writing with Dan Sullivan. He's a ghostwriter for Dan Sullivan, or public, not even ghost. He's a writer for Dan Sullivan. They co-write the book. Dan doesn't really write the book. He's got the frameworks from Strategic Coach. But here's the essence. You would say, Sean, how do I get to daily? How do I get not just the video I create daily, but also really quality vertical videos coming out of it? And then how do I distribute those on the platforms while I'm also touring the world and taking time off? How do I build the system in Monday.com? And how do I, or ClickUp or whatever? And
Notion, probably.
That's all the wrong.
Thanks, Thomas Frank.
Yeah, Notion. That's the wrong question. It's who, not how. It's who is going to oversee the content business. And that changes everything. Because if you say, how do I structure this and how do I – now, that would be the more challenging hire. But Ryan Pineda said something that changed my life at Grow a Video Live. And you're uniquely in this position, and you're uniquely asking this question. You do have a level of finances for you to take a big risk, a big bet. And I would say potentially rather than hiring an editor, I would be hiring a who to run your content empire. Because for you to be able to focus on writing your next book and doing your coaching and even coming up with the content ideas, if you get bogged down and also trying to figure out how are we building these motion boards, who cares? Who is building the motion boards? Or who is outsourcing to a contractor to build the Notion boards and so who, not how, the book could further drive the idea down. But I almost,
ordering it now.
I might almost hire a director of content, and rather than you hire an editor, they hire the editor, or they juggle the multiple contract editors. And to that end, because there's a lot of different ways to get content edited. VidChops, Fiverr, Upwork, these are some relevant solutions. The problem is it's more people to manage. And if it's a lower quality of a level of skill editor, your who person might be able to just give the time codes out to an affordable editor. So there's a million ways to do it. It could be a very expensive editor. It could be a medium level. It could be all Fiverr editors, but you need an admin person to really monitor and give them the feedback. So if you get bogged down in all those details, you're eventually going to keep hitting a lid and keep getting stuck. I think it's more about who, not how.
I need a manager.
You need a manager and a leader manager. That could be a lot more expensive than you think, or just a bigger investment than you think. But I honestly believe that'll change everything for you.
I think I can train and cultivate that person because it's such a unique position and it's not something that they would have been able to go to school for.
Yes.
At this point, it's like, at this point, I'll be writing the textbook on that this person would have to read if they were going to go to school for this thing. So I agree with you. And I think that's actually, I hadn't fully considered that direction of it. And I think you're right. I think that that's the answer. I think temporarily I could get some extra help by using a service, like you said, temporarily, because I've also systematized my editing workflow now, especially now that I do green screen for most of it. Oh, all my assets are templated now. I've made custom templates for everything, and it can be duplicatable. So you're right. That's not so bad. So the thing is, there's an intermediate step, I think. And I also love what you said about the fact that I should slow down first. I don't have to always hit daily. It's like, set that goal. But if you get 80% of it, so what? You did better than you were doing before you had that goal, right?
Totally.
So I agree with you that's brilliant. And I really needed to hear that. So thank you for that. So then my personal question for you is specifically, how are you balancing your family, your faith, your business, and setting boundaries in your life? And how are you taking care of yourself? Because that's really hard for anybody, but I know that a lot of people, especially today, a lot of young men that are ambitious are struggling with this. A lot of men in their middling years, like us in our prime years, I would say, are also really, okay, how do I do it all? And I think that you probably are someone who has the most realistic answer, or one of the most realistic answers to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think my first answer is I don't think I'm doing it well. Specifically right now, I kind of feel like I'm drowning a little bit. And I think that is a pretty normal emotion and practicality of having a 10-week-old, a 2-year-old, 20 employees. I'm the CEO. My wife is the CFO. And I've got some health challenges. And so I think the first thing I would say is if someone's saying, how do you juggle it all? It feels really chaotic. I feel like I'm dropping plates. Yep. I would say, give yourself some grace and know that that's okay. Like, I would say I'm dropping plates right now. Like, that would be, so I know some people, they're like, listen, you can have an incredible marriage and an incredible physical, physique and an incredible business.
I never felt it was realistic.
And you can have, and I'm like, well, that's not my experience. It's
right.
It's that there is something's got to give. And so I think that, what I'm also learning as a parent is I don't think I'm really in thrival right now. I'm in survival. It's get up, put the baby in a front pack. Somebody goes to Dutch Brothers and gets her coffee. I used to have this incredible, peaceful morning routine. Not anymore. Now it's keep the baby, then pass the baby back to Sonia. Thank God we have a nanny, which I would say, there is a proverb that says in Ecclesiastes, Solomon said, wine makes the heart merry and money solves all things. Now, I know that
the wisdom of Solomon.
I know that it's number one, money doesn't buy happiness. And number two, I have empathy for the person who's like, well, easy for you to say, but not easy for me to say. I had to build a business. I had to build enough surplus. We would die without a nanny right now, meaning this, our business would suffer at a level like it would be unreasonable for me to not invest in a nanny as the CEO of our company trying to keep this thing going. That it would be its cost of doing business because you have one of two options. I could have either slowed down a little bit and picked up more of those responsibilities in a 9-to-5 window, which was when we had the nanny. But I'm able to focus and be here with you right now because of that fact. So there's practicality. If you can invest dollars in hiring things out, I know parents have to do things like daycare and different things like that. So it's all a juggle. Like, I'm learning all of that. And
it's practicality, it's priorities, it's logistics, and it's boundaries. And I think that's what the proverb in Ecclesiastes is really when it says money solves all things. I think it's addressing that solves all things that it can. And I think and that's the wisdom, I think, of that I think that's the wisdom of what Solomon is preaching there, because I think that a lot of people don't value money as a tool. They value it as a goal. And you're deploying it as a tool to buy just another shred of peace.
Buy time back. Delegate or die, so delegate what you can And then I think the final thing is honestly letting the plates drop. I'm a control freak naturally. I'm obviously obsessive to have built this company, but also not everything matters. And it's one of two things. So it's like, as I see all this, I'm like, man, I am just not at my best when it comes to say Think Media right now. I got to take a step back and go, well, of course not. Like, you have a 2-year-old and a 10-week-old, and like you're dealing with stuff, but even just letting things go. So I am really dealing with just living, having peace, let go, let God, and just kind of like say, listen, it's the season that we're in. So I think it's embracing. This is all I know. It's embracing the messiness of the season. It's giving yourself grace if things are chaotic, if there's some throw up on the floor, if some, apologizing to a client or a customer or a team member, like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, I missed the thing because all of a sudden I had to run out of the room. But I'm noticing that there is grace around the whole thing. Giving myself grace, so if I gotta rest, it's like, it is what it is. And then just taking one step at a time in really hard and challenging seasons.
So the grace to know you won't be good or great at all things at all times, setting priorities, and one of those being definitely peace, but knowing that the chaos is inevitable and you have to learn to live with it and manage as best as you can. I think that those are, you didn't disappoint at all. You gave what I think is a realistic answer, and the realistic answer is that you don't have all the answers. Nobody does, but we do the best that we can with what we have where we are. As our good friend Amy Landino likes to remind us, that's a quote from former President Teddy Roosevelt. And I think that it is a realistic thing. And I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing those struggles. People say, oh, you only share the good stuff. Oh, you only share the highlight reel. You're one of the most realistic people I've known about what this is like. You've always shared your story. You've always done that. You've always been transparent, authentic. You even put, your family and your faith out there, for the world to see. And that's really hard to live up to sometimes because nobody is perfect, and social media convinces us otherwise. And so I really thank you for spending time with me, but on this call and for the audience. But also, I just appreciate you being my friend and always having my back over all these years. And it means more to me than you could ever know.
I appreciate you, Roberto. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure. So grateful for you and the impact you're making in people's lives and for your friendship. And it's been fun, man. The journey. I mean, we're seeing this thing stack year after year, season after season, the highs and the lows. And so thanks again for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, everybody, that was our interview. If you want more, make sure you're clicking the next video, and we'll see you next time. Stay awesome.